Like a lot of people, I spent time during the lockdown helping my kids navigate online school. I mean, it was a challenge for a lot of parents, right? And we had kids from 18 all the way down to 6. In particular, helping my 6-year-old with her maths, that is what really sent me over the edge. Because I know how to do math, I know how to add, I know how to subtract, but trying to teach that to a 6-year-old who doesn't have the reinforcements of school every single day was a bit of a challenge. In particular, when we started talking about subtraction. Because she was getting the maths of addition together, no problem. But once we started taking things away, it became a little bit confusing. And so I was trying to use phrases like not just subtraction, but if we take this away, if you pull this aside, as a way of kind of helping her understand what it is subtraction actually does. And so we would have blocks of 10 things, and we would take away 3 things so that we would see what was left over. And what was left over would be the answer, which was a good thing. And I was trying to say, see, when we take away things, that can be something good. And there was a moment where my daughter looked at me and she said, "Is taking something away ever a good thing?" I mean, for a 6-year-old, taking something away usually is some sort of punishment, some sort of discipline. So it made sense for her to ask that question: how could something that is now gone actually add value or be something that you would celebrate? You know, it reminds me of a guy in the Old Testament named Zechariah. Zechariah is this prophet, and God decides to speak to him through visions. In fact, there's like 8 visions in his book. And the point is that he's supposed to tell the visions from God to the people of Israel. And these visions are supposed to help them. It's supposed to encourage them. It's supposed to correct their behavior. It's supposed to move them forward in the plan of worshiping and honoring God. And there's one particular vision where Zechariah is talking about the high priest. And the high priest is a pretty important guy. He's one of the leaders of the country. And in this particular vision, the high priest is in the throne room of God. He's before all of the angels. And one of the angels comes over to the high priest and says, "You're wearing filthy garments." And the angel takes away the filthy garments and then puts on him new and pure garments, new clothes, if it were. And it's those new clothes that allows him to be in the presence of God. And so the whole point of the vision was that something had to be taken away. Something had to be taken away in order for this man to stand in the presence of God. It was like addition by subtraction. And that's a concept that most of us are familiar with. It happens in a variety of areas in life. Think about the office that you work in or the team that you're a part of. If there's someone who is toxic and they're taking away, the team is better, it's stronger. Or maybe think about your physical life, your own diet. If you cut out all the McDonald's runs that you have, or cut out all the sugar that you eat, by taking something away, you actually become healthier. Or think about in your back garden. Maybe you've got a flower bed and you're weeding the weeds, or you're actually pruning and cutting your favorite flowers. You're taking something away in order for health and life to thrive. It's addition by subtraction. We take one thing away for something better to come. We're exchanging a momentary loss, if it were, in order to add something that's much, much better. You know, that's the reason why we call today Good Friday. Because even though in many respects it's one of the saddest days in all of history, because the kindest, most generous, most loving, most compassionate man in all of history was taken away. He was subtracted from the history of the world in that moment. And even though that occurred, one of the worst things ever, it actually was something like addition by subtraction. That he had to leave on this day. He had to be taken away from us. He had to die on the cross so that we could experience something better that was to come, so that we could experience a sacrifice for us, a newness of life that was transferred to us, and we could thrive in the life that was to come. That's what's so beautiful about what Jesus has done. That's what's so beautiful about Christ himself. And in that moment where it seems like nothing good can come from this being taken away, from this life being killed, for him literally being crucified and murdered, what good could come from that? Much like a 6-year-old who's trying to understand subtraction, we've got to recognize that there's something better that is to come. There's something that we gain from it. It's not just an answer that we mark on a piece of paper. It's actually the answer for life. Jesus will say in John chapter 10, verse 10, that I have come, and now we know he leaves and comes back again. I have come so that you might have life and that you might have it abundantly. So on this day, as we're reflecting on the death of Christ, remember why we call it good. Remember that taking something away can actually be a good thing because of what is going to follow it, and the best is yet to come. And so on this Friday, we look forward. We look forward to the Sunday where we know the answer. We know what's about to happen. We know that Jesus is returning, and that makes today, Friday, a good